Alright guys, we are on the video hook section, so you're going to watch the video below and then you're going to answer the questions. So we are on the section that says, how did World War II finally end? So we've moved forward a ton of time, like the rise of Hitler, the Holocaust, the Pacific Theater. Now we're looking at how the war finally ended. You're going to click on this video right here, dropping of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima. A pro tip here, if your browser won't let you watch for whatever reason, you can either see if Internet Explorer will let you do it, so copy the link over into Internet Explorer, or you can watch on your phone, or we can stream it in class together. So you're going to watch this video. Here. Too loud. Hiroshima dropping the bomb. Once you've completed watching the video, we're going to do our guided practice document analysis together. So you're going to read a series of 4 documents related to the atomic bomb, the video you just watched. You're going to complete all reflection questions for each document, and then you're going to use the vocabulary aid and click on any related links for additional support as you need them. All right, so this first part shows vocabulary support. When we refer to things as dropping the atomic bombs, we're actually talking about during the period of World War II, in the United States, with the support of her allies, started the Manhattan Project. You can click here to find out more information about the Manhattan Project. It takes you to the vocabulary slides. In order to produce the world's first nuclear weapons, these atomic bombs were unleashed on the Japanese city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki on August 6th and August 9th, respectively. Over 100,000 Japanese civilians, not soldiers, were killed in the blast, and about 50,000 of which were killed instantly. There are still studies that are following people that were very small children or were children of people who were exposed to the radiation after the blast. So the dropping of the atomic bombs are still impacting the lives of people in Japan today. If you've ever read the book Sadako and 1,000 Paper Cranes, she had, they called it bomb sickness, which we now know to be cancer from radiation. So when we talk about dropping the atomic bombs, we are talking about the United States dropping 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August of 1945. This was after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. We'll talk about that in a bit. The reasoning for dropping these bombs is the Allies believed that the bombing of cities and civilians would force the Imperial Japanese Army to surrender and end the war. Basically forcing Emperor Hirohito to end the war because so many people had been killed and the Japanese cities were impacted, and that was the theory. Japan was ready to continue World War II for years, if needed, even after Germany was defeated, and the Allies believed that dropping such a devastating weapon would help to prevent future wars as well. They kind of treated it as the bomb to end all wars. Not a great plan. So let's look at how this all plays out. Document A, the city of Nagasaki, following the dropping of the second atomic bomb. The city was absolutely devastated and destroyed by what happened that day, and more so Hiroshima, which is another Japanese city, was bombed only 3 days before, making Nagasaki the second such attack. So this is a picture of that devastation. Imagine knowing that another city in our country had already been bombed by forces that we were actively at war with, and then 3 days later, your city gets bombed, and it's not just bombing, which the UK and many cities in Germany were facing at the same time of just dropped out of plane bombs. This was an atomic bomb that just wiped people out. There's shadows of people left behind because their bodies were not. I'll actually find a link and post it in here to a video where you guys can see kind of the fallout of that. This photograph was taken by an anonymous Japanese citizen. It has since been titled The Devastation of Nagasaki, and it was taken August 9th, 1945. So this is a Japanese man sort of looking at the rubble and destruction of his city. In this document, or is this document a primary, secondary source? You're going to highlight your answer and justify your answer below. We know that it was created at the time. Obviously, this is a Japanese citizen who was there when this happened. So I know with that, it's a primary source. So I'm going to highlight primary. And I'm going to go down here to the question that says, is this a primary? This is a primary, secondary source because, we get rid of secondary, because it was taken by a Japanese citizen. Oops. The day the atomic bomb was dropped on their city. Okay. Next one. Question number 4. Would the Japanese photographer who took this photo what would they have thought of the dropping of the atomic bomb was justified? Was it the right thing to do? So you're a Japanese citizen living in Nagasaki. You're not a soldier. You're not actively involved in the war except for like living in a country that is at war. Most likely this photographer would have considered the dropping the bomb to be justified or unjustified. I'm going to actually leave this to your own thinking. I don't want to sway your opinion one way or the other. So go ahead and write your answer to question 4 there below. All right, it's document B. This comes from various editors. This is American Bomber Drops Atomic Bomb on Hiroshima. It is published by History.com, September 1st, 2010. It says, in the years since the 2 atomic bombs were dropped in Japan, a number of historians have suggested that the weapons had a 2-pronged objective. So it had 2 things that it was trying to accomplish. First, of course, was to bring the war with Japan to a speedy end and spare American lives. It has been suggested that the second objective was to demonstrate the new weapon of mass destruction to the Soviet Union. By doing so, the United States could not only end history's most violent war, but also prevent a second mass war with the Soviets, Russia, who was being controlled by Stalin at the time. Just like I thought. Is this document primary, secondary? Were they there when this was happening? Did they see it? Or was it like, I read about it later and now I'm creating this thing? I see that it was produced in 2010 by a bunch of different people. And so my answer is going to be secondary. So I'm going to highlight secondary source. They were not there. They did not see it happen. So secondary. I'm going to come down here and justify that to me. Justify that. This is a secondary source because it was created in 2010 and it talks about events that happened well after the bombs were dropped. Okay. Well, the authors who wrote this document have thought that the dropping of the atomic bomb was justified or the right or wrong thing to do. Again, I don't want to sway your answer. This is something I'm really looking for the answer to. So I'm going to have you decide there. I also want you to think about, like, hint, this pro tip. Document B mostly discusses the positives of dropping the atomic bombs. So consider that when you are trying to decide if they think it was justified or not. I'm going to stop this video here. You're going to click on the next one to continue following along.